and I am back like I never left. Welcome back to the channel. And you might be wondering, well, Johnny, you did leave. You left. But did I though? Did I actually leave, friend? Yeah, I kind of did. But I was also not gone. Allow me to explain. So you might be wondering, where was I at? What was I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And to that, I'll just say, ooh, you nosy. You nosy. What you mean? Where's I at? But you know what? I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you anyway. The truth is, I was here. I was here. There was nothing preventing me from making videos or doing anything. I just didn't. But there's a reason. So the last time we spoke, I was talking about the hometown healing. I was going around different places that I've been, that I've lived in my home city, and I was experiencing stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, all these emotions are coming up, and right? That's what I was thinking about. That's what I made the last video on. And then it got to a point shortly thereafter where I got tired. I got tired. I got fatigued. I got sleepy. But my energy, it was my creative energy, my creative faculties, or something about doing this, right, was not that it was unappealing, but it was kind of unappealing in a way. I don't know how to say it. I just kind of, you ever do something and then, you're doing it and then you just get tired. And it's not that you don't have the energy to do it, but it's just like the drive or I don't want to say motivation. It's just something is missing. You're just like, And I started to think, why did I start the channel in the first place, right? I've been, I would get little hints about stuff. I got a reading and the lady was just like, yeah, you should talk, start a channel, right? People will listen. And so I was just like, but what do I talk about? And it's just like, yes, there's a wealth of knowledge that I have on different subjects from personal experience and experimentation and, that sort of thing. But it's just like, how do I use that? Like, how do I really use it and, for people's benefits? Like, is it even am I supposed to know what the benefit is or it's kind of, what am I doing with it? And when I think in anything that you do, you've got a couple of options on how you approach doing that thing. You can do it because, I'm going to get a certain result, or like, I want to build a, successful YouTube channel, for example. So that means I've got to make content and I got to create videos and I have to build a following and all this stuff. And then I can start generating, income, and then I can live off of this, right? Like then there's doing something simply because you get massive amounts of joy in doing this thing, whatever it is. And there's this very real, very visceral, there was this understanding, from where does my motivation derive? Or what place does it come from? And it's just like, there's this desire in me to want to like help people. But what I've been noticing, when you have that desire to want to help people, right, just as an example, or to share your story because it might be helpful or just whatever. But what I've noticed is that I tend to come across people who don't actually want it, or I don't know how to effectively deliver it in a way that it will be received. And it's just like, okay, with that understanding, and it's just kind of like, all right, well, so what am I doing then? And for me, it's just like there was this need to kind of reevaluate why, reevaluate and kind of and do things from the energy of joy for the pure pleasure of it versus I'm with the end goal of I want this certain thing to happen. You know what I mean? And because if you do something simply because you enjoy it, it doesn't matter if anybody sees it. It doesn't matter if anybody buys it, if it's a product or whatever. You do it because it brings you joy, and that will be that's never ending fuel. You'll never run out of that. And until you just like, you know what, this doesn't bring me joy anymore, then you move on to something else. But if joy is the fuel, then there's potentially limitless amounts of that, and you can always do something. But if you're doing something necessarily for a goal to I want to achieve this certain thing, like the well might dry up pretty quick, potentially. Now you could still do it, right? It's just that you'll be doing it and you kind of go through the motions. You can still do it and be successful. I just can't work like that. It's funny, I was talking to my brother the other day, and we were just talking about, like, you know what drives us, and he and I both being kind of driven more by passion. Like, I want to do things because it turns me on, that lights that fire, like, ooh. And it's like, in like regular jobs and stuff, and how it's just like, oh, I couldn't, I work a job, but then it's just like, yeah, but in 3 days I quit because there's no way I could do this. Like, it drains me differently versus like going to the gym and working out. It's like a different type of drain, and I can't. Now some people can power through it. They're like, yeah, I hate this job, but I'm gonna do it. There are plenty of people like that. Yeah, I hate this job, but I'm gonna do it. I can't. So there's got to be a reason why. So figuring that kind of stuff out, and it's difficult. It's difficult because I got it in my head at some point that I want to help people. But help people, that's very general, and it can come in many different forms, so many different forms. So it's just like, how do you help people? It's not necessarily, hey, let me teach you how to do this thing that's going to help you so you don't feel pain anymore. It's just like, it's not always like that. And this is what I needed to understand. This is what I needed to realize and kind of reevaluate how I am presenting myself, because what I've noticed, I don't really get the I don't really get the you helped me, and you know or I'm kind of butchering this. It doesn't go the way that I think it does. Like, it's just like no good deed goes unpunished, right? Like, there's consequences to everything, and it's just like not everybody wants to hear what you have to say, or ready to receive it, or and even though you might be observing somebody's struggle, and it's just like, I'm observing you struggle and I have a solution for your struggle, and I don't want to see you struggle, but they don't want you to help them not struggle. And as weird as that may sound, just like, some people just aren't ready for what you have to say. And just like, you have to be okay with that. And I'm just like, okay, wow, I have to be okay with that. So it makes it kind of different for me. I mean, and not only that, but then there's just like the struggle with content creation as as it stands. It's like, okay, well, what do I do? What do I do? And that's just one of those things, right? So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to make videos anymore, because I will. Will they be sporadic? Maybe more, until something kind of really lights the fire the way that I've wanted to. You know, I would, there's people like react to stuff, and they see stuff, and they talk about hot topics and stuff. I don't like to do that though, because I don't have a strong interest in other people's lives that way. I want you to live your life the way that you want to live your life, because it is your divine right to do so. But there's certain things that I just rather not engage with. And although there's hot topics and good clickbait or whatever. It's good views and all that kind of stuff. But there's certain things I just rather not talk about. So finding my way, sifting through things, and finding it my way to do things is it's gonna take some time. Yeah, there's things I like, but it's just like I also there's still that desire for me to like offer something that can be useful to somebody who watches and listens. So it's a bit of a struggle in a lot of ways for me. But anyway, so that's kind of I hope I explained it. That's kind of where I've been a little bit, what's been going on a little bit. That's kind of so. Anyway, so happy spring. Spring is here. Got some good rebirth energy because things are. You look outside, so you see the trees. They got green on them now. Things are starting. I'm looking at these trees out there. They got some green on them, and that's always pretty. Always look nice to see that. I enjoy that. So happy spring to everyone. So before I get out of here, I had an interesting experience the other day. I was at Starbucks. This video is not sponsored by Starbucks. But I was at Starbucks because I was just like, one of those moments was like, you know what? I want something. I want a hot drink. So I go to Starbucks. I'm in there and I order my, I'm not a big coffee drinker or anything. It's for years. I think I go on here. I know I said that I stopped drinking it cold for like 2 or 3 years because of my adrenal burnout. But I was just like, so I go in there, I get me a little single shot of the espresso with my thing. And I go in and order my drink. And there's this older guy who did not look well. It looked like he was, had a history of droga usage. And he lights up like a cigar or something, or like a cigarette or a cigarello or something like that. But at the time, I didn't know. I'm ordering my drink, whatever. I just, from this side, I'm just smelling something. I'm just like, what is that smell? It should not smell like this in this place. Right? It shouldn't smell like this. So I'm just, trying to just ignore it and just whatever. And then I order my stuff and I pay and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I walk over and I'm waiting, right? So then I turn around and I see this old guy with his lit cigarette thing. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, it was just weird. So then, as I'm waiting for my drink, I'm looking at the employees, and there's 3 ladies, and they're having a quick conversation, and they walk over to this gentleman. Now, immediately, my antennas are up. I'm just like, this is weird. This is strange, right? It was very strange. It's unsettling. And I'm looking over because I'm just like, okay, they're clearly about to ask him to leave or escort him out or whatever. So they say, hey, blah blah blah. You can't smoke that, and you can't smoke that in here. He says something unintelligible, and this is why I say, he's had the history of the droga usage, because it was completely unintelligible, like just blah blah or blah blah blah. Like you couldn't, just like, wait, what? And just the way that he looked and everything, like you could tell. And he's just like, but it's just like, I'm not going to. The energy of it was, I'm not about to put this out, which was just like, bro, you're in a restaurant, or you're in a, what is Starbucks classified as? A cafe? I don't know. You're in this place. You can't smoke in here. So the ladies walk up. They say what they say real quick. Then they walk back. They walk away. It's just like they didn't want problems, but it was just like, but they didn't have that commanding energy that you're supposed to have when you are wanting to, say, hey, you gotta bounce. You gotta leave. So at this moment, I see they're very uncomfortable. The women are super uncomfortable, and it's evident. And I'm looking at the guy. Now he's, I don't know, maybe in his 60s or whatever, but it's just like, and I'm just like, should I step in? But I'm just like, I don't work there. I don't know the protocol. He's not putting anybody in danger. It's just annoying, and it's also, disgusting because nobody wants to smell that in close proximity with no fresh air, and you're gonna stink up the whole place. But it's just like these things going through my like I should step in. Like these women should not be doing this. And so then I look up and I see so there's 6 employees in there, and the 3 women came up and did the thing, and then I'm looking behind the counter and I realize there's 3 guys back here, and the first thing I thought was, why aren't these men going over to escort this guy out? And it's just like they're back behind making the drinks and stuff, and they're almost oblivious to what's happening. So I'm just like, why aren't these men doing this particular thing in this moment? And it's not like a thing that women can't do it, but it's just like, I don't know, the dynamic of it. It's just like there should be that moment to me required a more masculine approach, more divine masculine approach. Like if I'm asking somebody to leave or to leave or whatever, like they should have said, "Hey, sir, you gotta go." You know what I mean? And again, I don't know the whole protocol. I don't know if they're allowed to like physically remove people or whatever. To me, it's just like maybe having another man, a male presence would have helped him understand better that he was about to, he had to leave or whatever. And just the simple fact is, like I said, that the women were obviously very uncomfortable. And it's just like, all right, as a man, let me go ahead and handle this. If I got to remove somebody or if I like, let me be more confrontational because I feel like that's kind of like what I should do. Well, so anyway, so I'm looking at it. I'm uncomfortable. And I'm just like, I want to step in. But I was just like, I don't work here. I'm just here to get my drink. And so they go back and then they get on the phone. So I already know they're calling the police. I'm just like, oh, it's about to go down, potentially. Something's about to go down because they're about to call the police to to come remove this guy because he's smoking in the bucks. But after that, I got my drink and I left and I just walked out and I was just like, man, that was so strange. It was so. It was it was a little uncomfortable, but I just wondered about how men are. Now these were younger guys. All the employees were younger. I mean, early 20s, I'm sure, and around the college age or whatever. But it got me thinking about like how men present themselves, nowadays, like in this new generation. And I just kind of wondered about how some things that are different now with how we interact with one another, and just like kind of what's necessary, and the old school versus the new school or whatever. And like some things that are old aren't necessarily bad. Like some old things or some things or ways of doing things are maybe still appropriate. And just like, I don't know, just how I could potentially alleviate discomfort. It was a strange situation, and though I didn't stick around to see its resolution or anything, because I just I can imagine what happened. The place is still there. There was not like it wasn't shot up or anything like that, but sort of he just left, got removed or he left or whatever, and that was it. But it was weird, and it just got me thinking about how these young men see themselves and like their role. Does anybody still have that protective instinct over, as a man? Like, do you have that protective instinct over women, even if it's not your woman or if it's not your sister or your mother, but just like over the ladies in general? Like, do you not want to? Again, I'm not saying you got to be, I'm got to be this macho man and protect everybody and do, but it's just like, there's just kind of this like, hey, maybe I should do that. We're all uncomfortable, but maybe it'd be better if I did it versus if you did it in this particular context. So just kind of, I don't know, just kind of got me wondering. And I just wanted to, just wanted to share it because I'm like, is that weird? Am I weird for that? Am I overthinking it? Am I over, you know what I mean? What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the smoking Starbucks situation? Smoking Starbucks situation. I didn't mean to, what's that, triple alliteration? I just got a SSS. But anyway, that's it, I guess. Again, I don't know. I just kind of sharing a story. I don't know exactly how this is going to go. There's still videos that I have to make, but the energy around my energy is kind of, sometimes I just get fatigued at a different level, and I'm just like, I'm not really sure. But I want to start doing things from that place of joy, and just because I enjoy it, and then maybe I can share it. And I don't know what that's exactly what that's going to look like. So my original goal was to make videos every week. I did pretty well. I got about probably like 6 months or 5 months before I said, but you know, that's just kind of how it is. This is kind of how it goes. So thank you for joining me. I'm grateful for your attendance. I'm Johnny Jupiter, and remember, there is no outro.